Students, good morning. Today we will learn a new chapter, Why Do We Fall Ill? Let me introduce myself. I am P. Nath, PGT Bio from JNV Jorhat, Assam. This is a particular chapter which is in subject science of class 9. All of us we know the present age is the age of COVID-19, where many people are suffering from this particular disease, and the distribution of this disease is worldwide. The relevance of this chapter can be easily understood if we know that how COVID-19 can be prevented, is there any possible treatment of it or not, and about other diseases as in the chapter. Coming to what is health. Now, the definition of health is about well-being. It is a state of well-being in three important aspects: physical, social, and mental. A person has to be physically, socially, and mentally well to be healthy. And if he is healthy, he can perform his tasks, day-to-day tasks, very nicely. As shown in this chart, health has got three aspects: physical aspect, a person who is physically fit, physically sound, physically strong; mentally fit, mentally alert, mentally receptive; socially fit, socially well adjusted, is cheerful, is said to be healthy. Coming to what is meant by disease. Disease in a vague term can be said to be dis-ease, uncomfortable. We can say that any disease is the abnormality or disturbance caused in our body. And a disease is not necessarily caused by any external injury. Anyone having pain or hit by a stick is not diseased. But it can be caused by external factors like germs, especially the pathogens. We also know that the internal dysfunctioning of the body or the body organs will also lead to diseases, and diseases can be easily seen by certain symptoms. Very common symptoms are pain, swelling in certain parts, fever. These symptoms are very general signs, not very particular, and they don't tell about the disease itself, but science can pinpoint a particular disease. There are many factors which determine better health. These total factors will be told in three important points. Number one is the public cleanliness. Public cleanliness can save persons from many of the harmful diseases. Now you can well appreciate the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The other important reason or factor for better health is food. Nutritious food, a balanced diet is very important to maintain proper health, and to purchase food items. Even the economic conditions of the person is important. So better job is the factor for better health. And the third important thing is a good social environment. A person lives in a family. First, a man is always a social person. So any kind of ill treatment, any kind of mistrust will lead to some kind of disease. So in order to be healthy, even the social conditions are to be better. How can we stay healthy? There are many factors. We'll discuss one by one. Proper nutrition, balanced diet in correct proportion of carbohydrate, protein, fat, minerals and vitamins is very important for a person to keep healthy. And overeating will lead to obesity, health problem, and even malnutrition, especially with regard to protein and energy can lead to marasmus as seen in many children. Number 2 point, personal hygiene, bathing, brushing the teeth, cleaning, mm, wearing clean clothes. These are very important and constitute the personal hygiene of a person. Clean and clean air and water. If one is not getting clean air and water, the pollution related diseases will creep in, as seen in many of the cities where the clean air and water is not easily available. Another important point is regular exercise. Yoga, regular playing, involving in outdoor activities, meditation, these are also very important to stay healthy. Many schools are having this kind of yoga periods or games period, PT periods, where the students are given a regular exercise and they improve on their health. There are many ways by which the disease can be identified. As we already know that symptoms are there. A person who suffers from a particular disease will show certain symptoms, and the symptoms will be leading to a particular name. We know that different parts of our body performs different functions, and if the functions are disturbed, then there is something wrong within the body or particular that part. This is the symptom. Symptoms just indicate that there is a disease, but they do not exactly tell the name of the disease. The doctors know that. They look for the signs. Now signs tell us the exact problem. These signs, unlike symptoms, are more definite. And in order to pinpoint on the disease, the laboratory tests are also done. Now, let's come to types of diseases. There are two types of diseases according to the time period: acute disease and chronic disease. Acute disease is a short-term disease, whereas chronic disease takes a pretty long time. Acute disease is caused randomly. It suddenly, somehow one gets this disease, but chronic disease is caused in due course of time. Very slowly it will happen. Acute disease does not cause major effect, but chronic disease causes major effect on the general health. Examples of acute diseases: influenza, dysentery. Influenza in a person will remain for 3 to 7 days with these viral diseases, whereas chronic disease is particularly the lifelong disease or decade-long disease and takes a very long time in order to end. Now, very importantly, how chronic diseases affect our health. Chronic diseases, they take relatively long period and they affect the general health. A person may become very weak, the growth of children is affected, it leads to stress in adults, and they make person feel tired all the time. General body weakness has been told. They can also increase or decrease weight of a person. They also affect our day-to-day activities and ability to learn. So chronic diseases, they have got long-term effect on health than acute diseases. Now, what causes these diseases? There are two important factors responsible for it. These two important factors include the internal factors or the intrinsic factor. There are two or three important points which are internal factors. Number one is hormonal imbalance. A person who is diabetic is because of deficiency of insulin, a hormone in the body. Genetic disorder, hemophilia, where the blood does not clot easily, is a genetic disorder. And malfunctioning of the body organ. Sometimes there is a renal failure. The extrinsic factor or the external factors include the unhealthy diet. A diet which is unbalanced will be always unhealthy. It should have all the proper requirements of nutrition. The disease causing germs, the pathogens, bacteria, viruses, fungi. The pollution in the environment is also a very important factor, which is the external factor, and even the lifestyle diseases, the unhealthy lifestyle. Based on the following, there are two important categories of causes of disease. One is the immediate cause, and second is the contributing cause. Immediate causes are due to the pathogens, the infectious as well as the non-infectious agents. For example, the bacteria, fungi, viruses, and germs, they are the actual causes, whereas the contributing causes are poor diet, unhealthy lifestyle, or pollution-related diseases, and they are not the direct reason for causing a particular disease. After going through the contributory and the immediate causes, let's see the other types of diseases. Congenital and acquired diseases. Congenital diseases are the diseases which are present since the birth. Example, the hole in the heart. There are children, those who are born with hole in the heart. This is congenital. Acquired diseases, they occur after birth. Based on their ability to spread from one individual to another, these acquired diseases are of two types: infectious and non-infectious diseases. Infectious are communicable diseases and non-infectious are non-communicable diseases. Infectious diseases are caused by pathogens, the disease causing germs. Non-infectious diseases are not caused. Infectious diseases are extrinsic or external factors. Non-infectious diseases are always internal factor. Infectious disease can pass from a diseased person to an healthy person. Non-infectious disease, as the name suggests, cannot pass from one person to another. The transmission of infection is through some medium. It can be air, water, or vectors. There is no transmission because the person with non-infectious disease will remain to himself. Community hygiene can reduce the incidence of infectious disease, but there is no requirement for the community hygiene because non-infectious disease is in a particular person, not the whole community. The easy examples of infectious diseases are cholera, tuberculosis, pneumonia, chickenpox. The non-infectious diseases are high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer. Now we already know that infectious diseases are caused by infectious agents like bacteria, viruses, fungi, or some protozoa. Now these pathogens are these infectious agents. These infectious agents, we have to understand certain characteristics. For example, this bacteria, they can enter and they multiply very fast, like viruses and fungi. Viruses, they live inside the host body. They are living when they get into a host and then only they multiply. Also, worms, due to their sexual reproduction, do not multiply quickly. Now, these are the important characteristics of infectious agents, and this has to be understood such that the better way of treating them can be easily known. Now, one of the important drugs constitute the antibiotics. Penicillin is one of them. Penicillin discovery, all of us we know, is associated with Nobel Prize. Now, antibiotics like penicillin, they generally block the growth of bacteria. The bacterial cell, they grow by creating cell wall, and penicillin, which is an antibiotic, can prevent the growth of the cell wall, and hence the bacteria die easily. The penicillin is used to fight against different kinds of bacteria. There are several types of diseases. We'll put into the airborne diseases, foodborne diseases, waterborne diseases, lifestyle diseases, vector-borne diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. For that reason, airborne diseases, the examples are common cold and tuberculosis. They are due to the pathogens which are carried through air. Foodborne diseases, the examples are food poisoning and typhoid, and they are again due to pathogens and they are present in the food. Waterborne diseases like cholera and amoebiasis, they are found in contaminated water. Lifestyle diseases are nowadays becoming common, leading to heart diseases or diabetes. They occur in person having unhealthy lifestyle. Vector-borne diseases are due to certain vectors which transmit the infectious agents like malaria. Malaria is caused by plasmodium, which is carried by female Anopheles mosquito. Even dengue fever for that reason. Sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS and syphilis are due to the sexual contact between two persons. Now, let's know where do the disease causing germs live in our body. The pathogens, they attack the body as they enter through the various parts of the body. If they enter through the nose, then they are most likely to settle in the lungs. If they enter through blood, they can get into liver, lungs, or heart. Now, in these organs where they enter, important signs and symptoms are seen and the diseases can be known from here. But there are other common diseases which are not tissue specific. For example, inflammation. Our body has got immune system where the cell can fight against the disease causing germs, the immunity. The process of recruiting cells to kill the infectious agents is called inflammation. There are various signs of this inflammation such as fever, swelling, or redness of certain parts. Hence, we can say that a likelihood is the immune system of our body is determining the effect of the disease. A very important part of this particular chapter is the principles of treatment. There are two important principles of treatment. That is, one is to kill the infectious agents, and number two is to reduce the effects of the disease or reducing the symptoms. Now, how to reduce the symptoms? We reduce the symptoms such that we can conserve on our energy. We get enough time such that our immune system can fight against the disease. Also, we can take some medicines which can reduce the common symptoms such as fever or the pain. Also, we can go by the first important way of treating the infectious agents. That is, we can kill the infectious agents, the pathogens. We can take medicines which can be antibiotics or antiviral medicines and take the treatment. Now, all of us we know antibiotics are very important for many of the pathogens, but not against viruses. Antibiotics in other pathogens like bacteria, they help in blocking the biochemical pathway, which is important for bacterial growth. They inhibit the growth of the bacteria, they hamper the metabolism and kill this bacteria. But in case of viruses, they don't work because viruses do not use the biochemical path and generally use the host cell machinery for making proteins, which is an important viral constituent. And also they have got very few biochemical pathways. For treating viral infections, the best thing is vaccination, which can prevent a person from getting diseases in the first place. Now coming to the principles of prevention. Now, before we can prevent, there are important limitations of using medicines to treat these infectious agents. There are three important limitations. Number one, our body functions may not be able to recover easily. That means if one is taking drugs for treating some disease, the body function is not easy to be recovered. The other body functions may get impaired. Number two, the treatment takes time, hence it affects our daily activities. Our daily activities are not performed fully, and during the time, this infectious diseases may be transferred from a person to the sick person. So, a sufferer, a diseased person, transmits to another person who is generally healthy, and the chain of transmission passes on. Coming to specific prevention, all of us we know that smallpox, a viral disease, is eradicated once upon a time, considered to be an important epidemic, and many people have died of it. Immune system can be fooled to develop memory for infection. This is the principle by which the infection can be prevented or we can treat, where the immune system develops memory for the subsequent infections. Most of the Indians are immune to hepatitis A due to the virus which might have entered through food and water. Also, we know that there are important vaccines available for these common diseases like tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, and the day is near when this kind of diseases can be also eradicated, as seen in case of smallpox. This will all come under the specific prevention. Now let's come to general prevention. There are two important ways by general preventions can be done. One is about the preventing the exposures to the infectious agents like waterborne diseases can be prevented by having safe and pure drinking water. Typhoid and cholera can be prevented. Airborne diseases like COVID-19 can be prevented by avoiding overcrowded places, social distancing, use of face mask or face cover, and in keeping the environment clean. Vector-borne diseases can be prevented by keeping our surrounding clean and maintaining public hygiene. Malaria is found in stagnant water. Second point, strengthening the immune system such that if any infectious agent enter our body can fight back. We are immune enough to fight against the infectious agents, and this will prevent many of the diseases for which a proper healthy food is important. Coming to the specific method to strengthen the immune system, one of the important ways of specific method is vaccination. And vaccination will always strengthen the immune system and prevent the disease, maybe for a very long term or throughout the life. Wherever our body is affected by disease, our immune system not only fights against it, but also remembers how to respond when the same microbe attack the next time. This is what is the memory. Similarly, the vaccine contains the weak agent or the weak pathogen. When this weak pathogen is made to enter our body, our immune system learns to fight against it, and actually getting infected when the actual disease causing germ enters our body can be easily prevented. Today there are various vaccines available for polio, chickenpox and measles, and these are now the preventable diseases. One of the important discoveries in the causative agent is about the ulcer and the Helicobacter pylori as the reason for the ulcer. A peptic ulcer is a sore that occurs on the inner lining of the stomach. In 2005, Marshall and Warren, Australian scientists, they received Nobel Prize for discovering that Helicobacter pylori causes this ulcer in the pyloric region of the stomach. Before that, it was believed that stress and lifestyle, especially the food, are the major causes of such ulcers. The Helicobacter pylori is the bacteria which weakens the mucous lining of the stomach, and the acid, especially the HCl produced in the stomach, erodes the sensitive lining and irritates the lining and ultimately cause the sore or the ulcer. Thank you for watching. Hope you have understood most of the things which are given in this particular slides and understood the chapter. Thank you once again.